younger days? Was there a lot of music in your house growing up?
Well, yeah, we all us kids, we would play pretty much by ear. So we always had a piano. There was always a guitar or a ukulele around the house. But we didn't take lessons or anything like that. We all pretty much played by ear. My dad always played piano and stuff, but no one did it professionally until Steve came along. And he was the first one to decide, he left home at 16 and said, I'm going to Nashville to be a star. And so, no, there was always a musical sense. All the kids did play in the school band and stuff like that. But, no, we weren't I guess you could say, like the Jackson 5 or the Osmonds or family grew up, everybody performed.
So a career in music was never really a burning ambition for you?
No. Well, it didn't even cross my mind till it was 1990, and I was 27 years old. I always played the guitar, but I was a very young mother at 17. And so I think what it was, I wasn't allowed to dream it. I had different dreams where, like I said, Steve left for Nashville when he was 16. He was on a mission. He was going to go be a star. Me, my dreams were food in the cabinet and things like that. So it wasn't until I was 27 and the opportunity came, but I had the know-how, that I decided one day, this is what I'm going to do for a living. And it was after I went on the road with Steve playing guitar for him. And we returned to Nashville, and I said, this is it. This is what I'm going to do.
Did it take a lot of persuading on Steve's part to get you to go on the road with it?
No, not at all. The way it turned out was I was living in Texas, and I had the 2 kids by myself, and a single mom, and I was having a tough way to go. And he asked me to come to Nashville to kind of just help turn things around. So when I did go to Nashville, I went to Nashville to be a nanny for Steve. He was leaving on the Copperhead Road Tour. And he came home to write the Hard Way record, and he asked me to sing backup on one song, Promise You Anything. And so I went and sang it on the record, and then he kind of came up to me after we made the cut, and he goes, now you got to take it around the world. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, I'm telling you, you got 3 weeks to learn 4 Steve Earle records and be ready to play guitar, electric, acoustic, and vocals, and go on a world tour. So I left very naive, and I think that was really great because it wasn't like I worked towards it all those years. The anticipation worked me up where I was nervous. I just jumped into the fire, and off I went. And it was that tour that allowed me for the first time financially and mentally to say, gosh, this is what I want to do for a living. That's when I started dreaming. Right. And it was on the plane on the way home from Australia, where we were there in 1990. I said, this is what I'm going to do for a living. And we landed, and I came home, and I started writing songs, what I would consider really bad ones now, and taking them to publishers, and they'd pat me on the back because I was Steve's sister and go, oh, they're real good, but keep bringing them back. Keep on trying. Yeah. And so it took another 9 years in Nashville of one, developing my writing and growing up, and I think my songs grew with me. And then finally, when I was 37 years old, I guess I had finally something to say that was worthy. And that's what Simple Girl is. It's a song. It's an album of songs written about me.
You did spend some time working as a staff songwriter, didn't you, for publishing?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I worked for 1010 Music Group, and that's an art in itself. I mean, I did it for 3 years, and it was good for me because I learned structure. I learned a lot about what it is inside of a song, what you need and what it takes. But but the art itself was not my art. I respect the people that do it. It's writing from a whole different other approach. Songs that I write very early in the morning.
There was a completely different way of writing when you're writing for a specific client or whatever, and for yourself.
Exactly, because those are written by hook. Either someone, you actually get this piece of paper and it shows a list of artists cutting, and it says, say, Reba McEntire, she wants an upbeat tune. She wants it to sound like this. Or Sammy Kershaw is looking for some for ballads, and he wants it to sound like this. And you literally custom design them. So they're not coming completely from the heart. Now, there are songs that are written from the heart that an artist will hear and they've got to do it. And but pretty much, I mean, I'm sitting right here on Music Row right now in the studio, and I can look all up and down, and there, right now today, hundreds of songs being written. There's people in these little offices, and they're sitting down just pounding out, trying to get a great song written so it will be a single for a publisher, because keeping a staff writing position is tough. You know, it's if you don't get a cut eventually, they'll drop you. Yeah. It's a high-pressure job.
You're very competitive too, I would imagine. Very
competitive. I'm not really quite sure how many, the average, my company had 15 writers, I think, or 13, but, you know, right across the street at your bigger places like Sony, they're carrying like anywhere from like 50 writers. And so very competitive. And there's only so many artists cutting them up.
You able to?
That wasn't my art.
You able to pinpoint a particular moment in time where you felt you really started to develop a confidence in your songwriting, really developed as a writer?
Well, I knew when it was really getting there. It was just I wasn't sure was anybody interested, you know, because no, these were not mainstream. But as if I took them into an office down on Music Row, typical office, no, they were not interested. But when I played them on the stage, those were the people that were feeling them. I'd look out, someone was relating. I love seeing my audience when I perform. I like the house lights up because I can literally look around a room and see who's relating to that particular song. And then the next song, I'll find who that person is. Even if, you know, it's usually more than one. There's something there for everyone. And but no, my songs were, it just took me a while to realize someone was really curious, and that's why I made Simple Girl. People would come up after the show and go, "Oh, do you have a CD?" And I said, "No, I've been in Nashville 9 years. No, I don't." And that's when I said, "That's it. I'm just going to make the CD." And my husband Mark and I, we made it. We made it in 4 days, very low budget. I had $4,000, and we made it. And it was meant to sell on the road, and next thing we knew, it was being distributed, and radio was picking it up. And she was a real accident, but aren't most babies? That's the way I look at it. Whoops, we had a girl.
The album's called Simple Girl, and there really is a nice simplicity to the production of the album too. Was that an important factor to you, to not get bogged down into heavy production?
We wanted to produce it where we captured as much of myself live as we could, and also our goal was not to cover up the lyrics with a bunch of stuff. You know, there's ways that those songs could be cut with a full production. If someone wants to do that, fine. I'd love for them to cut the song. But for me, I wanted the lyrics way out front because they're trying to say something. And, you know, to write all the lyrics and then cover them up with a bunch of mush just didn't make sense to me. And the way we cut it, I sat in a chair and recorded every song back to back. Then everything else was added.
Did you find you adapted to the studio environment pretty quickly for your first record?
Yeah, I did. I think everything I do, I kind of throw myself in the fire. I don't get nervous. Even people ask me when I'm performing, "Do you get nervous?" I said, "No, this is my roller coaster ride. This is when it all becomes worthwhile." And I think I just was maybe meant to be there because I get excited about it, and it just all seemed to come really natural. And I see situations where, and that's why it's good that I was thrown in the fire, because I see some people start on the small stage. They come into Nashville, they'll start on the small stage, and they'll work their way up to the big stage, and then the major label, and they have the big showcase, and they're terrified when they walk out on that big stage and look out, and there's 30,000 people. They don't know what to do with it, and they just totally freeze. And my first stage I ever stood on, there was 20,000 people, and so I think that was good. That's a good way to do it. Just jump right out in the middle of it.
And I guess having played these songs live for so long before you actually got in and recorded them must have been a huge advantage too.
Well, yeah, our pre-production was all said and done. I had performed them so much, and I was booking myself, and we had them in the pocket when we went in there. And just like we're just within seconds of starting the new record, and we've been performing the songs now for about 6 months on the road. And so everything's in the pocket and ready to go. So this is going to be an easy one to make. It'll be just like Simple Girl. It's going to go down very naturally. And we're real excited. And it's the new record's called Dancing with Them That Brung Me. and it's going to have some really good stuff on it. I'm excited about it. Simple Girl's actually a year old now, and she's been good to us. But it's time to have to do another one.
Now, there's a really nice touch on the CD where we hear the sound of an old record needle dropping down. Was that your idea?
Yes, it was. I was cheated out of vinyl because, they quit making vinyl right before I started, getting to that point where, I saw some, hope that I might get to make a record someday. See, I even still call them records. But CDs are great. We got something wonderful out of them. We got clarity. We got longevity. They don't scratch. They're not as fragile. But there's something that we lost in the sequencing. When you had a side A and a side B, you had a second chance to sequence. And, it was okay to have too many waltzes because you could put some on B and some on side A. They were two separate albums in themselves. Also, just something about giving that ear a break. It's quite hard to actually sit through a whole CD and listen to one. If you think about it, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So it better be good. Otherwise, you're going to lose the attention eventually. Or you better make sure everything is completely different because that's a lot of songs to sit through. And also, there's just nothing nicer than hearing the hiss of vinyl. And the way we did it, we took an old Beatles Rubber Soul record.
Oh, yeah.
And an old Radio Shack record player and stuck a microphone to it. And at the end, you actually hear it bump off the paper. It sits there and goes, doo-doom, doo-doom. So it was all for fun, but at the same time, it gave it that sequencing is there. And I was having such a hard time sequencing that record, and I think that made it finally easy on me. Just think A and think B.
What would you think has been the major advantage of having a late career start as you have?
Man, there's several advantages. One, I cannot tell you the appreciation I feel of it. Where some people will get it too young, they don't know quite what to do with it, and they end up in some pretty tragic situations. They don't handle themselves physically or anything like that. Me, I'm over my drug days or anything like that I would ever do. I'm too old for that, and I have children, and so I think that would be an advantage because if you sometimes, not all, but some young people, they get in a lot of trouble, and Steve did, and he'll tell anybody that, and also there's just no way through an adult's eyes or just a grown-up, especially if you've lived like I lived. I've lived really hard and good but hard. And you just appreciate things so much more, It's when you have to work so hard for it and wait so long. It's just, this is a wonderful thing for me, and it's great timing too because my children are grown. Yeah. And I can do it without a guilty conscience. I know I didn't drop the ball on them. I did well. Matter of fact, Kyle, my son, he's playing drums on the new record today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He earned it. He toured with us last summer. And he played great, so he earned a slot on the record. He's in the room next to me in there. And so I'm excited about that. I mean, what more can a mother ask for? I tour with my husband and my son. At 10 p.m., I can say, I know where my children and husband are. They're on stage next to me. So every mother wants to know where their 17-year-old is. And
you only have to look behind you.
Exactly. I know where he is tonight. And it's a wonderful thing. I'm so glad I had to wait. I'm not upset that no one gave me that big record deal when I first started to do it when I was 27. Because maybe my family would have fell apart. Who knows? Could have they handled me being on the road? So I had to say that's the way it was meant to be. There was just a timing thing, and it had to be right, and it was just waiting for me, and it caught up with me.
As I guess having a brother in the music business as well has probably helped you in terms of making career decisions by being able to observe his career in that.
Oh yeah, I learned every mistake there was. No, it is an advantage because I've watched them and I know what I should really work hard on. and what to stay away from. And because he's done it all and he's been through every bit of it. And so, I call that one a gift. And I'm very fortunate. Not everybody has to. Most people have to walk totally into the music business with a blindfold on. And I see them come into town every day, and I go, I could sit down and just tell them the whole story, but they're not going to listen because that's just the way artists are, but at least I got to see it firsthand.
What's been the best bit of career advice he's given you?
To sing like my damn self.
Okay.
that came from Steve. When I first was doing this, I was sitting at the table, and I was trying to find a voice, I guess, and he just kind of walked behind me and said, "Sing like your damn self." And that's when I just started singing like I talk. And but before that, I think I was trying to be everybody but me. And I think that's when my lyrics started going with my voice. It all made sense.
Talk a little bit about your songwriting. Do you do a lot of editing in your writing?
Do I do what?
A lot of editing in your writing, or do you pretty much stick with the original plan?
No, I edit it around, especially live shows. I have a little fun with it. But we're about to cut a song right now, and I was sitting here changing the last lines. No song is ever done being written, even if it's down on a record. If you find a better line, change it. Maybe only the people on stage will hear it, but don't ever, if a great line is a great line. And sometimes it takes a year. I've had songs that I started 3 years ago, and one day I'm just driving along and I go, that's it. That's what, you just have to stop thinking. Sometimes you're just thinking too hard trying to find the lines.
Yeah.
And but no song is, that's the other advice. Steve did say that. No song is ever is done being written. And I think maybe Townes Van Zandt told him that. I think that one was passed down.
Do you have a best time for songwriting? A time where
early in the morning, about 5 in the morning.
Really?
That's called, I think it's called Mother Self-Defense. With the kids growing up and all that, I'd have to get up early in the morning before anybody else did in order to be alone. And so always, and my mind isn't cluttered. And I love sitting in the kitchen. All the songs are written in the kitchen. That's why we call them homemade. I write them early in the morning with a pot of coffee, and that's my time. I love to watch the sun come up, and mornings are good.
What pitfalls have you come across so far, running your own label and being an independent artist, getting your work out there?
A lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Anybody can make a CD, but they can't expect it just to fly on its own. We probably put in 16 hours a day sometimes. I had to learn how to use a computer. Never used one before. Individually stuff envelopes, packing. The average promo, we will ship on the new record 3,000 promos. And who's going to pack them? Me, Mark, and the one girl we finally just hired. And I have to sit down and email. I carry a laptop with me all the time, and I'm continuously emailing radio stations and venues, and it's amazing. The next thing you look up, and the day is gone. It's time to be on stage. So I get up every morning about 6, and I work all the way till time to get on stage, and it's all like office work. It kind of takes the art out of things.
Yeah.
But being grown up now, I'm ready to learn. It's kind of exciting for me because I kind of denied myself. I didn't finish high school or nothing, so I'm just kind of going backwards and doing things backwards, and it's a great time for me. My mind's wide open, and I gave my children, always gave them 99% of me. I got 1. Now it's just kind of flipping around a little bit, 50-50. Because it's kind of like being in any art city. You need to be amongst it. You need to be a part of it. That's what makes it, I guess you could say, inspiring. And you won't feel alone. It's real. I think that's what you have to be here, either here or whatever. Something. New York is one, L.A., but more Nashville and Austin, Texas. And it's just you go for the inspiration, not to feel alone, and it's just where you go. Call it an artist colony. Hey, we all suffer together.
Yeah.
I go, you go.
Let's talk about your live shows. What would be the extent of your live appearances? And how much of the year would you spend on the road?
Oh, we're on the road 98% of the time. Is that what you're saying? Is how much on the road?
Yeah.
98% of the time. We're rarely home. We're only home for this 1 week. This is the longest we've been home in 8 months. We've been home for maybe 2 days, long enough to repack and maybe fly another direction. I've got a really wonderful booking agent. Plus, not only that, I know this is an independent record. If I don't work it, it's not going to go by itself. And not only that, I love to perform. And the live shows are everything. I mean, people can listen to the CD, but they've got to see the live show. The live show is on its own. There's no way to capture that. And a lot of people always prefer the live show over the CD once they've seen it. It's kind of like reading a book and seeing a movie. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel about the live show, because out of all the hard work at the end of the day, when that live show goes down, that 45 minutes or an hour and a half, whatever they'll give me, that's when it all pays off. I cannot express how happy I am when I'm up there. I am so happy to be there, and I truly mean it. And if I'm home too long, I'm actually start getting antsy, and so it's almost like there's nothing at home there for me anymore. It's on the road.
Got to get out there again.
Yeah. Maybe someday I'll grow out of it. I don't know. But I stayed home, 19 years.
Yeah. A lot of catching up to do.
Exactly. And we look at it that way. It's kind of like two old people driving off in a Winnebago. But we got to stop and do a gig.
And the types of venues you're playing, Stacey, are there many clubs or?
It's a mixture. It's everything from festivals, theaters, to not so much as club. Being a singer-songwriter, like in Europe, we did these pubs, and I thought they would be like pubs, like going and play a club, but they all have a listening room. It's a very listening audience. Even if it were a club thing, I think I could go down there, and I think I could walk in the room and shut them down. I think it's just everybody gets really silent. You can hear a pin drop, and I can't tell you what that feels like, but it's because I'm trying to tell you something. And so, but they're more, but one moment I could be in a 100-seater, like coffee house. Yeah. Or pub, and then standing on a festival stage with 40,000 people. It's a very wide variety, and plus, I'm still building in certain areas, so it's going to take a while to build certain areas up.
You find you have to vary your show a little bit for the type of venue, the type of audience you're playing to?
No, it's it pretty much no. I think every now and then I'll get someone who they don't know why they're there. Like every now and then a wife will drag a husband. But so I will purposely set my goal out to win the guy's heart over or the woman's heart over before I leave that stage. If I know particularly someone didn't want to be there. Yeah. Man. There's
been a real surge of interest in women singer-songwriters in recent years. Do you have any theories on why that is?
Maybe women just they just found a way to say what they want to say. I guess the women scene has really grown. And I just can't say I added to that because I really ended up in here accidentally. I don't know why there's so many women all of a sudden popped up. Maybe they were there all along. They were just getting ignored.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. I think they were just being ignored. I think they were there all along. I know I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Stacey, look, before I let you go, just tell us a little bit about the new record and your plans for it.
Okay. It's, like I said, it's called Dancing with Them That Brung Me. And the plans are we're just about to run it just like we are. And it's going to have mostly upright bass and acoustic guitars and like a light percussions on it. And it's just going to be it's going to be a great record. That's all I can say. I'm very excited. I mean, like, we're just within seconds of starting the first track, and that's a pretty neat feeling.
That's a big, exciting time.
Yeah.
Similar in sound to the previous one?
Similar, but I mean, it may have a little extra here and there. If a song needs something, we're going to give it to it. So don't be surprised if there's maybe a little bit extra there. Plus, there's a little more room for budget. Yeah, yeah. We're prepared this time. But that doesn't mean we're going to get crazy, okay?
Okay.
Well, I hope to come down under. I heard maybe this summer I will.
Oh, tremendous.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Is that our summer or your summer?
That will be, I guess, maybe my summer. It's for a festival, so I guess your summer.
Probably, yeah. Our festivals are mainly through the summer months, yeah.
Yeah, they said a possible festival, so cross your fingers.
I will be, absolutely. Fantastic
Okay.
news. Great to hear. Well, I won't hold you up any longer. I'm sure you're dying to get started there.
Yeah.
And we're all dying for you to finish it, so we'll let you get back to it.
And I think, please, anybody that's interested and they can't seem to find Simple Girl, all they have to do is go to www.stacyearle.com. And they'll find it right there on my website. There's everything. T-shirts, Mark Stuart's record, my record, all kinds of good stuff there, okay?
Tremendous.
All right.
Thanks, Stacey. Best of luck.
All right, thanks.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.